This was a subject that I wasn't going to touch. In fact, it's a thought that I had and immediately discarded.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Until somebody else said, hey, how come you guys aren't talking about this thing?
Okay.
And I thought, I can't believe that I've been this irresponsible, because you were usually pretty locked on when it comes to choosing our content.
Right.
Basically, if the mainstream media can't or won't talk about it,
Yeah.
we're all over that shit.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah.
Because you can get your news anywhere, but we're not about news. We're about infotainment. So, yeah.
This one has some supporting files, but we're not going to add them to the show. We're just going to describe them for you. Okay. Picture, if you will, a young female just graduated from, I'm going to say, some college.
Okay,
so what does that make her? 22?
Yeah, like maybe 20.
20, 22?
Somewhere in there, yeah.
Definitely under 25.
Right.
And this happened twice this week, and it's happened a couple times in the past. I've always done this. I've raised an eyebrow, and then I've gone, no. No, it must be me. I'm the one with the problem for even thinking what I thought.
Okay.
And then I move on. But they're advertising nanny services.
All right.
Okay.
Well, what did you think?
Well, I took it at face value. They must be advertising nanny services.
Right.
But sometimes the pictures are super cute kissy face photos.
Right. Where they look more like an Insta-baddie than like someone that you would trust with your children.
Sometimes they cut off their forehead to make sure they get all of the chest.
Okay.
You see there's some obvious priorities and some things being put forward in these images.
Okay. Yeah, there have definitely been a few times when I've seen those and I've been like, girl, you're not going to get hired using that picture. What are you thinking?
Right.
You know, because they don't look like they are very conscious of, you know, the expectations that are on them and stuff like that.
And I know it's hard out there for a hustler. I know it's hard out there for a woman. Here's what I thought and immediately discarded and went, nope, not a valid thought.
Right.
I'm going to throw it out the window. But the thought was, what are they really advertising?
Oh, like...
You know what I'm saying? Especially when they say things like, or is this just me? Is this just me? Looking for someone who's in need of a babysitter or nanny full-time? Face value. Got you there.
Right.
Helped raise my little sister, so I have experience. Okay, that's good. I have a flexible schedule and can even sit late and or overnight. DM me. So that's pretty bold of any female on social media.
I don't think so.
Kissy face photo.
Right.
Photo where something other than the face and the professional outfit is front and center, literally.
Right. Okay. I think I see what you're saying.
And then when you say something like, see, I feel bad for even explaining this because I'm putting too much weight on a thought that I've already had and discarded.
Yeah.
But somebody else said, hey, is that what I think it is? Because it sure looks like it's something more than that.
Okay.
So now I'm in the unfortunate position of having to defend a thought I've already gotten rid of.
Honestly, every time I see it, I just think that the girls are kind of oblivious and don't realize how it looks.
So that's what it is.
You know, because I've never thought of it like maybe they're advertising something else, especially because I think there's a better, more effective way of doing that. You know?
Right. Aren't there
Right. Like, I don't think that people necessarily want to
have
the thought of like kids and also, you know, this sort of angle in the same sentence. So I wouldn't really imagine that.
Right.
Yeah.
I've heard there are local singles in my area that are dying to meet me.
Yeah. I don't think that they would need to advertise it that way. I genuinely think that it's just girls who took their best pictures of themselves, the ones that they liked the best, without realizing that it made them look more less maternal, let's say, than they might have wanted to. Or, you know, and yeah, didn't think about the implications of something like that, especially because being an overnight babysitter is hard to find and can be a huge selling point.
Sure. I just sort of disagree with the redundancy of the post saying someone in need of a full-time nanny, I have a flexible schedule, can sit late or overnight.
Well, full-time just means hours, not necessarily time of day.
Oh, okay.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah, they're just saying that they want to work for one family and not have to worry about filling a schedule, you know?
I'm just saying, if somebody made the following statement, I don't think I could disagree with them. If somebody said something like, hey, if I were an enterprising young female with zero skills except for having raised a younger sibling, and I wanted to locate the sugar daddies in town, I'd definitely go for one who has proven that they could start a relationship,
sure,
have children,
you don't really need,
and afford a nanny.
To be fair, you don't really need to start a relationship in order to have a kid.
I wouldn't formulate that statement and say it out loud with my own mouth, but if somebody said it to me, I don't think I could argue with it.
Well, but also there are entire services. There are whole services for women to find sugar daddies.
Right.
So why would they do it on Facebook?
Well, and
why would they do it coded?
Well, right. And there are whole services for women to find nanny work too.
Yeah, but those ones are a little harder, and you usually have to pay a fee.
Hmm?
Yeah. Yeah,
Okay.
like I've heard like with care.com, and you usually have to like pay for your own background check and stuff like that.
Huh.
So I could kind of see why they would do it this way. Not only that, but also just because they're on care.com doesn't mean that the families are. So going to a local site like Life in Idaho Falls makes a lot more sense for a potential nanny than for a potential sugar baby, in my opinion.
I want to say, we're not going to show the photos because we don't want to embarrass any of the people in case it's what I originally thought, which is,
just a misguided young girl who doesn't know how to market herself, which is what I still think it is.
Best of luck to him. Yeah. But there's at least one devil on the shoulder going, they're doing that on purpose.
I don't think they are. I really don't.
Well, good. That makes me feel better. That makes me feel like my sense of...
well, maybe I'm just too much of an optimist
and
I don't think the world is that bad.
No, I'm glad because sometimes we have friendly disagreements.
Yeah.
But you're telling me that my spidey sense in this case is properly calibrated.
Maybe you're being a little cynical.
Okay.
If you think that that's what's going on.
All right.
Yeah.
I did Czechoslovakia before I wreck Slovakia. I'll have my panel of experts sometimes.
Right.
I reached out to one male and one female.
Okay.
Different ages, different lifestyle groups, and said, hey, what do you think of this? And they said, yeah, it seems a little sus.
I could see it. I could, but also I've worked in a few industries before where there have been a lot younger coworkers than me, kids that are just getting out of high school and stuff.
And they're just obliv.
Right.
And delulu.
Like they just don't understand what professionalism is. They don't understand how to present themselves. And I've just been around like teens before, and they're just kind of oblivious.
Yeah.
Or even when I was getting out of college, some of the freshmen were just kind of oblivious. And they were like, oh, well, it's a good picture of me. And didn't realize that their boobs were hanging out.
Right. Okay. Okay.
Just saying.
All right. So you're going to attribute mostly to naivety.
Yeah.
Naivete.
So.
I never know how to pronounce that. The state of being naive.
Yeah.
I will say this is the most time and energy we've ever spent on something on IFAF that I wasn't sure about was even content.
Right. That's
on
fair.
the show. I'm like, I would have skipped it had somebody not said to me this time around.
You know what? That's fair. I could see it.
And there were 2 in a week, and one of them they posted up front, and then they reposted the same photo with less kissy face photos.
Right. Which tells me that they just were posting pictures that they liked of themselves without thinking it through.
Yeah.
And then someone said, hey, you look like you're trying to be an Insta-baddie and not a nanny.
You look like you're selling something other than...
Right. And they were like, oh, I should probably change that then.
Yeah.
Like, I think that gives more credit to my argument, personally.
Yeah.
Not only that, but I've seen a couple of people post things like, hey, I'm looking for a job. And then they'll post like them in like a monster cap with a beer in their hand, and like a scruffy beard. Yeah. And it's like, okay, bud, like, I get that you're looking for work, but also like take a nice professional-ish photo. It doesn't have to be good, but like go out to, even in your car, even if you're sitting in your car and you've got a nice t-shirt on.
Not going out in your car, yeah.
Yeah. And you've got a nice shirt on and your hair is tidy. Take a picture there in good lighting. Don't do it when you look like you just got done with a rager or, you're all dressed up for a party.